In this section, we'll look at actually getting the virtual software installed so we can enable the virtual Linux computer. If you've never used virtualization before, it really is just running another operating system inside your current operating system, whether it's a desktop or a laptop. The one thing I will tell you is that you need memory for this to run comfortably. You don't want to be running it on a 6-year-old, 7-year-old laptop with 1 gig of memory. You want at least a 3 or so year old laptop or desktop, maybe 4, with at least 2 minimum 4 gigs preferably of RAM and about 10 to 20 gigs of disk space. Disk space typically is not difficult to come by. The RAM could be a little bit of a problem, but if you have 4 gigs, which is really cheap nowadays, you'll have a great experience. Open up the syllabus, go to the week 1 section of the syllabus right here, and what I do is click on this link to download the Virtualbox software. I know I've shown you this before, but we'll just go through it very quickly. Click here to go to the actual virtual first step, and you'll need 2 pieces of software. You'll need the actual Virtualbox software itself, and then you will need the extension pack. Once again, come down here. First one you see that matches your operating system, Windows right there, OS X right there, and Linux is below. After you've done that, you'll come back up here, you'll click extension, and you'll grab the extension pack that matches the version that you've just downloaded, which is always going to be the first one. After both of those have downloaded, you'll go close out of this, you'll go back here, and you'll click on the second link, which will download the pre-built virtual machine that I use in the class. It's about 1.4 gigs in size. It takes a little time to come down depending on your speed. But once it's down, once you have all 3 pieces of that software down, put them someplace that you can easily get to them, like the desktop. Perfect place to put them. So I've downloaded them already, and they're on my desktop. I'll close this, close that. And here's the software that I downloaded. You can see this is the Virtualbox software. Here is the extension pack, and that's the actual virtual machine itself, the one you're going to be using in class. What I'll do is double click on this. It really is just an application like any application. You could be installing a game on your computer for all intents and purposes here. We'll take the defaults unless you want to put it someplace else. Create a desktop shortcut, sure, why not? It does give you a little warning about interfaces. It's going to add virtual interfaces to your machine, which is good because it allows us to interface with actually get on the internet with the virtual Linux machine. It just wants to warn you that it's going to restart the virtual interfaces. All right, so it's going to go through. Sorry about the little blip in the video. It ended up that at the end of the install process with Virtualbox, it killed my video recording also, so I had to do a little cut and paste here. But what happens, it literally just went through, finished doing the install, and this is where I end up at this screen. So this is where you'll be. Now, the icon down here is actually to launch Virtualbox. I'm going to just say finish. I'm not going to actually turn it on right now because what I'm going to do next is click on the green software or the extension pack that I downloaded. Click on that, and this will go through and actually install the extension pack. And it says, do you want to reinstall it? Yours will go through a install. I'll accept the agree. And as you can see, once again, after I installed the extension pack, it killed my video another time. So once again, I've never seen this actually happen before when recording a screencast. Installing Virtualbox obviously has problems with my screencast software. I apologize about that, but it really, what you saw was the end of it. It ends up here, and from this point, I can actually import the virtual machine. And what's nice about this is you don't have to do a lot of work. You just go up here and you can literally just double click on this icon right here. Let's try that first. It shows me all the hardware. Now I do want to point something else out here. I set it up to use 512 megs of RAM, which is pretty much the minimum for this Linux machine. If you have the RAM, which is 4 gigs or higher, I would recommend changing it to 1024. And that's what I'll do here. But if you don't, if you have anything less than 4 gigs, then I really recommend that you do not. Everything else, I would just leave the same. Don't even bother. Don't click this, reinitialize. Leave everything just the way it is, and click import. And hopefully it won't cut off my recording again as it goes through this. But if it doesn't, I will pause it here because it'll take a few minutes to come back. And once it's actually imported in, I'll show you what to do with your virtual machine. Okay, it's almost done. It shouldn't be much longer. Alrighty, so it finally finished, and this is what your virtual machine looks like when it's actually been installed and ready to go. What I'm going to do right now is give you a quick tour around here, Virtualbox, and then we'll, in another video, next video, I'll actually open up the virtual machine. Now, before we do anything else, I want you to go up here to the top right-hand corner and click Snapshots. Snapshots are one of the great reasons we use virtualization. A snapshot is just basically that. It is a picture of that machine in the state it currently is. And more than likely, the state it's currently in right now is shut down, but ready to go. Everything's working fine. So you'll click on the little camera icon right here. You can name it whatever you want. I'll call it base install. Please make sure you do this just in case you should break something. You can just go right back to it. So I have a snapshot right there. I also have this little sheep icon. And the sheep icon allows me to clone this machine if I want to, and that's for more advanced classes where we have multiple servers going. So don't worry about that, but you can do it if you want to. If you click on settings over here, you'll see the settings about the virtual machine. If you want to rename what it looks like on the desktop, you can do that here. Most of these things you're not going to play with, but this is where you can go change your memory if you want to. Storage and display, I would leave it alone until we get to that part. Audio, same thing. Networking, by default, I have this running behind a NAT server. And that's okay, especially for this class. In other classes, that would be a problem. There's actually 2 network cards in here, but the second one's disabled for the 1032 class. We have different options in here, which is great. Serial ports, we'll leave that alone, USB, and shared folders. Okay, shared folders. This folder right here is on your machine by default. If you want to be able to share information between your virtual machine and your desktop, and this is primarily a Windows function, meaning what we're seeing here, you can do it in Mac. You have to go over to your C drive, open up your computer, go to C drive, and create a VB share folder. You can see I've created a VB share folder, and because I've created that, and I have it already mounted in the virtual machine, when you open it up, you'll actually have a way to share files and folders, which is very nice. All right, so that's a quick little tour. We installed the software. Next, we'll actually go and boot it up and take a look at it.